The president has 13 companies. Is the commander-in-chief working on the back end of Safaricom. He's more dangerous than tuberculosis, more dangerous than measles. William Ruto has a problem that he looks not more as a president, he looks more like a businessman, the chief and the shah. That was a scam. We have begun the process again, afresh. In fact, Rofina TV will help to bring the message we are trying to bring across. So no matter how Ruto looks powerful, this war will be won. I do not know which kind of vaccination we need to give to remove him, and that's what Nigerians are now facing. The 500 billion shillings which was being borrowed through Hustler Fund, Ruto never gave the money from the exchequer. That money came from the banks. And then now you saw that when Oparanya became the CS for cooperatives, he said that money cannot be recovered. So Ruto told these banks to bring their money into the platform, and then this money was being borrowed to Kenyans, and Ruto said the money that will come back, banks will make money because the interest rate was very high. You see that? So these people disappeared with money. So money never came back, and even Ruto said that it's impossible. Oparanya said it's impossible to get that money back, even to trace the people who borrowed the money. And I went to court and challenged that this money had no proper corporate governance, and the government has no powers to give out, to launch a fund without using the Public Finance Act. And they didn't follow that, and that's why it is my petition in court that stopped even the board of Hustler Fund from taking office, from operating and the rest. So that was a scam. Also, you see another scam which I've been telling my students. If you go to Safaricom, I have so many students of mine I taught in Safaricom. I don't want to mention their names. But in Safaricom, you see now Safaricom heading a consortium to bring what you call the chief and the shah. And that consortium is going to take away 104 billion shillings from Safaricom to set up the platform for the chief and the shah. Now, Safaricom has also been hit hard, and that's why again I cry to my students in those companies. Look, Safaricom shares, when Ruto took office, was trading between 42 shillings to 45 shillings a share. Now it's trading between 12 to 15 shillings a share. So the shares have submerged just because of the bad decision they are making, and this thing whereby the government is interfering with the public, with the private businesses. William Ruto has a problem that he looks not more as a president, he looks more like a businessman. And he's having identity crisis whereby you don't know whether the president is talking like a president, or he's talking like a businessman, or he's talking like a politician, or he's talking like a leader, or he's talking like a father, or he's talking like a family man. He's confused everything. He doesn't know that he's a head of state. So he comes to the public, he has to see the separation of powers, separation of institutions, whereby parliament should be parliament, senate should be senate, the executive should be the executive, the businesses should be the businesses. The president wants to do business in fertilizer industry. He called all the manufacturers of fertilizer and told them to give him 30% shares in their company so that can get this tender to supply some fertilizer to farmers at subsidized rate for 2,500. So we're having a lot of confusion. So my students are affected because of this one man up there. First of all, I want to tell Kenyans that let us not be desperate, because this war we are fighting now, it is not more of maybe Fred Ogola fighting or you fighting. This war is now a war with Yahweh.
Yes.
And as the war with Yahweh, Yahweh has never lost any war. So no matter how Ruto looks powerful, this war will be won. But moving away from the spiritual world, because you are asking a situation which is a very practical situation. First of all, let's look at what went wrong during the Gen Z revolution. You see, this revolution, people did not give credit to the right people who actually were at the forefront of the revolution. And those people saw it nice to withdraw and wait and see those people who were taken to be the change agents to do what they thought they could do. Let me tell you what. Fred Ogola, after William Ruto was to be declared president, I was already being chased, and William Ruto was declared president when I was in Juba. I was a pundit for CNN, for Sky News and for BBC at Bomas. And when I discovered how the elections were being stolen, I made a statement that I had to be deported. But these media houses were taking me out of the country just to secure me for some days because they realized that the statement was so scathing. Even KBC gave me official tag to access any room in Bomas. I was an official media pundit even for KBC. So because of that, we began this war. Then after that, look here, I put groups in Eldoret. Bunge la Wananchi, I converted them to concerned citizens in Eldoret, Kisumu, Taita Taveta, Kilifi, Malindi, Alamu. So I had all this network of people. I was feeding them with information about how the country was being mismanaged. Civic education, the so-called inject, we're injecting them with information. Now, when we began there, I went to television screen. I used to be in every TV interview 4 times a week. And it's a sacrifice because if you're on TV all the time, how do you eat? When you go to TV, you have to drive your car to the TV station. In the TV station, it costs you fuel, isn't it?
Good.
And no one pays you for TV interviews. But I was doing that because of my country. We whip emotion. I went to court, 46 cases in court. I was trying to tell people that even court cannot help you. I was trying to whip up the country to emotion that we have to go to the street and reject this thing now by entering parliament. There's a clip I refer you to. I made that clip in front of Milimani Law Court, and I say that if Parliament cannot reject Ruto's bills, we will enter Parliament and set it on fire so that the MPs can run away. I said that in June 2023, and they entered Parliament in June 25th, 2024, which means that the true revolutionaries for the Gen Z, I was actually at the forefront of it. Now, when the false prophet came in, you could see them. You've seen them, some of them. You've seen Casmuel came in. He was saying he was the president of Gen Z. Now he's saying he is now with Raila Odinga. So you cannot be the president of the Gen Z when now you are under Raila Odinga. You saw Wakina Kebaso emerging. You saw many people emerged also. I also appreciate them for the work they did. I have nothing against it because we say that an enemy of an enemy is a friend. So they also help us in that movement. But to organize ambulances to be in town during the Gen Z revolution, to organize water in town, to organize medical camp in town, those are needed a serious organization. So because the people who really did it now are now being told, you stay at home, we are the Gen Z, I'm the president. So we stayed and it didn't happen. Now, after the 25th, you saw the thing slowed down. William Ruto became very interesting by saying he was trying to show the Gen Z he's solving the problem so that they can calm down, but he was actually just being malicious. You know, emotions have to go up to the point it must reach boiling points for something to happen. But now when someone now removes hiyo maji kwa sufuria aweke kando, si inapoa.
Very true.
So emotions imepoa. So when I saw Kebaso saying, let's go and occupy the state, people are not angry enough. Let's go. People are not angry enough. And there's no organization. So there was no mobilization. So for that matter, the mistake was that the Gen Z started fighting among themselves on who becomes their leader to the point that they even killed the movement. Now, secondly, the government also misled them. Then thirdly, Raila Odinga came in and he was looking the one sanitizing the government. Now, you ask, what do we need to do now that things are so bad? We have begun the process again, afresh. In fact, Rofina TV will help to bring the message we are trying to bring across. We have done analysis. More before you go to the street, you must do proper analysis. Why do we need to go? Whom do we need to go with? Who are we? You know, the question, who are we? That time the question was Gen Z. This time the questions are different. We want to look tribeless, isn't it? But people, you may think that is not true. It's true. We are tribeless. The only people who have a tribe are politicians. Secondly, we are not going to buy the narrative that Kenya is divided because politicians are telling us that Kenyans are divided between two, rich and poor. We are not buying that narrative. We are rejecting that narrative just like you rejected the finance bill. Because if you're being told that there is poor and rich, what do you think is the strategy of the poor people?
I think the strategy of the poor people is maybe to succumb another.
Yes, to beg.
Yes.
If we live together, and I tell you, you accept you are poor and I'm rich, So your strategy is you beg me and I give you.
Yes, that's
Then
the
you
point.
keep quiet, isn't it?
Yes.
So we don't buy that, because if we buy their narrative, we are still not going to change the country. I have information everywhere. You cannot even stop it. The only thing to stop is to kill me. If you don't want to get information, you kill me. Because in the office of the president, I've taught a student there. You heard when people were saying, how was Gen Zs getting information? Have you seen me giving press statement on those years? I tell you to the last coin, if I'm telling you, for example, that the president has 13 companies working on the back end of Safaricom. Is the one in charge of all the Safaricom digital payments. And those companies are in a suburb here in Karen, and I can take you to the office and show you this is the place. How do I know? So if you ask me how do I know, you should tell me that I'm wrong. And when I said it earlier, then Gakuya, the MP of Embakasi, is confirmed after they got the money. I told people before that William Ruto has set aside 0.5 billion to impeach Gachagua. I said it before they did it. And I told Gachagua, you are going home because there's $500 million on your head with the members of parliament and senate. Gideon Muigai left retirement to come and defend William Ruto in court for 2-3 days. Do you know how much money he receives in a day to do that? And do you know where that money is coming? That money is coming from you as a shareholder. That's what, as a citizen. That's what I'm saying. When you want to be here. Because that money, Attorney General gets a budget in her office to spend on all legal cases to defend the government, isn't it? So this case about William Ruto is a government case. It's not Ruto's case. You know that? Mm-hmm. It's not William Ruto defending himself against Gachagua. It is the government defending itself against Gachagua. And the government spending taxpayers' money to impeach Gachagua and to go to court against Gachagua and to hire lawyers of the highest caliber. Do you know that around 230 billion shillings have been spent in court when the government defending wrong decisions made by the president? And that 230 billion shillings spent by Attorney General's office, if I'm wrong, look at the auditor's report. The 230 billion shillings spent by Attorney General's office in defending wrong decisions by William Ruto, that's, I'm telling you, William Ruto has become an existential risk to the country. Corruption is a problem everywhere. And corruption is an issue everywhere. But in Kenya, it's a crisis. So for us, we are not dealing with corruption. We are dealing with the crisis of corruption. So people can tell you many methods. Let us strengthen IBC. Let us strengthen EACC. No. The problem in Kenya is not that we have a weak EACC. It's not that we don't have policemen to investigate. Mm-hmm. The problem we have in Kenya is that the person who becomes the commander-in-chief is the commander-in-thief. When you have a commander-in-thief as your president, what is he commanding? Theft. I can tell you, and I repeat this again, as the president out of office,
yes,
should I get into that office, do you know what I'll do? Mm-hmm. I will just call a press conference with all my ministers and CSS and tell them, from today, I'm leaving State House. I don't need any money. I have my transport arranged by the security and the military, whatever. I have my arrangement. I don't need a car. Don't make money for me. So if you are found trying to make money for yourself, you'll pay for it. That statement is enough. There is no stories about it. That's enough. But if you call your CSS and the cabinet meetings, that's why you are hearing that people are saying there's cabinet secret. What is secret about building economy? Why should somebody take Gachagua to court because he revealed a secret? What secret are you talking about when you want to talk about agriculture? What is secretive about agriculture? What is secretive about fishing industry? There should be, you have to swear allegiance that I'll never say anything in. What is secretive about being in office to discuss about people who are suffering, sleeping hungry? What's secretive about it? When there's drought, you're discussing about the drought, and you're talking about drought response. Why should it be a secret? Are you going to work alone? You're going to work with people, isn't it? So there's no secret. Why they talk about secret, when these people meet, they discuss about how they are going to steal. you eat from that parastatal. That is what cabinet meeting is all about. Because the president is the commander-in-chief. But if I become the commander-in-chief and command, there is no corruption, and I said, as president, I don't need anybody to make for me money. Who will make money? So if the president wants his main goal, President William Ruto's main goal, chief goal, is to own Kenya, not even to become the richest person in Kenya, to own Kenya. All industry, he's the investor. He has amassed wealth of 2.8 trillion Kenya shillings. I can prove this in documentation. So if you have somebody who wants to own Kenya in agricultural sector, now you saw the other thing when he was chasing the Turkish away from Kenya. He wants to own their school. Mark my words, you can see. I have intelligence, he's the one going to own the school. Fertilizer, I told you, isn't it? He owns Safaricom. His personal lawyer is the chairman of Safaricom, Adil Kawaja. You understand me? He controls KCB. He's now the one owning the airport. In proxy, Adani. So he wants to own land, he wants to own sea and air. Land, already he got the title by being Arab Mashamba, isn't it? Sea, he controls Mombasa. Ports, all ports in the country, he controls. Then lastly now, by controlling the airport, he controls air. So the president has got land, sea, and air attack on Kenya. So as president out of office, I have to correct him on those things. As a president, be a president, don't become a businessman. Leave business to the businessmen. Why are Kikuyus crying? Because he's killing their businesses and is co-opting them for himself. So Kikuyus are not bothered even the impeachment of Gachagua. He's just concerned about how they are losing their businesses against William Ruto. The reason why Kikuyus were mad with Uhuru Kenyatta is that there was a perception that Uhuru Kenyatta was taking away their businesses, isn't it? But they were thinking Ruto will give them back the business. Ruto even is taking more of their businesses. So corruption ends when you have the right person in State House. You cannot have the commander-in-chief in State House, then you tell me you'll kill corruption. People say, okay, take them to court. You take them to court and the same money the Australians they'll use to fight the court process. If I'm head of state, I'll call the judge and tell the judge, if you dare quit that guy and there's evidence he has stolen, you are the next person being investigated. How will anybody get away with corruption? And let me tell you something here. There's something very interesting, Bravo, you need to understand. I have done analysis as an economist and discovered that this message needs to go to Kenya. That corruption has got a negative impact, net negative impact to anybody. Let me explain to you this. Let's assume that you become the principal of Maranda High School, isn't it? And you know very well, becoming the principal of Maranda High School, you want to earn money by bribery. So let's assume that every year you receive around 250,000 shillings in bribe as the head teacher of Maranda High School. So that's a good income.
Yes.
Do you know how it's going to affect you? Because everybody is also eating, also you have to pay the same money to other people to get services. Let's say, see, you are the head teacher, principal of Maranda High School.
Yes.
Will your children work in Maranda High School? They'll work elsewhere. So you have to bribe somebody else. So if you receive a total bribe of 250,000 shillings in a year, being bribed, you bribe out 400,000. Is it positively good for you or bad for you?
It's negatively bad.
So if all of us as Kenya can agree to reject corruption, all of us will be fine. You go to any place, hakuna unasema, hey, nataka hii ya kula. Your ID, you apply, you pay for the fee, you get. Passport, apply, you get. You want to get your child into school, you apply, you get admission as per the rule. No one is eating. So even you'll be finding that the money you could have been using to give out, that money is now yours because then you don't have to give out. But in Kenya, everybody is giving, and the end game is that no one is gaining anything by giving corruption. So if all of us reject corruption, only eat what is enough for us, then all of us will work because there's enough for everybody's need, but not enough for everybody's greed. What do you do with 2.8 trillion? No, Bravo, let's talk about it. If I give you 10 billion now, what will you do with it?
I don't know. Maybe I'll just buy what makes me happy. Cars,
Do
houses.
you know you can't finish that money?
Yeah, I know it's impossible.
Why are you buying houses? You just need a house. Just buy one house.
No, I will just buy a house.
Yes.
I'll buy a car. But you
Yeah.
know these things. They usually say the more the more you get, the more you are.
They say.
But let me tell you. You see, the thing is, the problem is, and I get it with people who have money. You buy a car, one of the best cars. You buy maybe a Lexus 600. When you're walking around with it, you meet someone else with maybe a Mercedes that gives you the luxury you want. You find yourself going for that Mercedes again. So when you go somewhere else, you see someone with something else, you want it. So you find that you can never get enough of something. So you keep on adding more and more. That's why you find these people, they have more properties.
But if you know that you can never get enough, why are you walking that path? You'll never get enough. And I can tell you, it just comes from what is called the spirit of temperance, just being satisfied with what you have. Let me tell you how it works. I was born in Ugenya. We lived here in Kibra with my family. My father was a catechist in St. Michael's Otiende, here in Langata. My father used to earn 1,500
A month.
a month. We were 11 kids. And we survived. You get me? Now, of course, rent was cheap and the rest, but even if you calculate it, if you are a president who earns a salary of just about 2 million, and you live in a state house which you don't pay rent for, isn't it?
You use cars
You
which
use
you don't.
cars you don't even know where they were bought and how they're being fueled. What are you looking for? And already you are a billionaire, or if not a trillionaire. What are you looking for money for? And where will you take this money? It is just, people have to understand that those things have to end, then we have to focus on what we need as of now.